Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. Team USA is going for gold this weekend in the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. Since the tournament's creation back in the early 1950s, only one final has not featured the United States or Mexico. Those are the two teams playing on Sunday. 17 of the 18 finals have seen that rivalry play out, with El Tri holding the historic advantage. Going to be a test for Team USA with the World Cup right around the corner, but this could be the page they need to turn under new head coach Mauricio Pochettino. And for more on the summer of soccer, we welcome our friend and former U.S. men's national team defender, Jimmy Conrad, who, Jimmy, by the way, made his official U.S. men's national team debut playing in this very tournament back in 2025. So, Jimmy, we know you have been in these players' shoes before, and it had to be Mexico-USA for the final, right? It's a rivalry that we see get very spicy every time. What are your early expectations of this on Sunday?
Well, Haley, I'm excited. This is a good test for us for a lot of different reasons. And, of course, it's a big rivalry. Yes, I had my first cap back in 2005, which dates me a bit. 20 years ago, I can't even believe it myself. But I was one of those players, very similar to the players on this current roster, that was trying to break into the team and then also, hopefully, trying to get into the World Cup roster, which I ended up doing back in 2006. So I really parlayed my success in the Gold Cup a year before to making that happen in a World Cup. So I know that a couple of these guys are going to do the same. Diego Luna, who had 2 goals in the semifinal against Guatemala. Malik Tillman have been 2 standouts who I think definitely going to make the World Cup roster. Now, for them, it's about can they break into the first team. That's a bigger conversation. But if they can have a big performance against Mexico on Sunday in Houston, then they're going to put themselves into some rarefied air, because you become a hero if you can somehow do some magic against our biggest rivals in Mexico. However, Mexico have been very good in this tournament, and for me, Haley, are probably the best team in this tournament going into this final.
It'll be the 9th time these two teams have met in the final. Mexico has won 8 of those. They've got a tournament best 9 total, so obviously Mexico going to be difficult. We'll talk more about their team in a minute, but I want to get back to Team USA, Jimmy, because this was a group that you remember, I remember, was not playing very inspired going into this tournament. You remember they lost to Turkey, they lost to Switzerland.
Oh, I remember.
The morale was at an all-time low. I was listening to you on Twitter Live, and it was a mess. But since then, they have rallied back. They're playing in a final, and to your point, this has kind of been the B team of Team USA. And so all things considered, what have you thought, and how would you assess the way this particular group has performed?
Well, coming into the tournament, we lost 2 games in the Nations League, which is the last official competition that we had. There was some friendlies sandwiched in between there, and Mexico won that Nations League. So they're going to have a lot of momentum, and I know we're going to talk about them in a second. We did not. We lost to Panama in the semifinals, and then we lost to Canada in the 3rd-place game. So, yes, there was a lot of shame that we were feeling at that particular moment. And then we had 2 friendlies against Turkey and Switzerland, too. If we try to project what's going to happen in the World Cup next year, because it's an expanded tournament, we will most likely play at Turkey or Switzerland in the round of 32 if we can get out of our group. So for us to lose those 2 games, we lost to Switzerland 4-0, lost 4 straight games for the first time since 2007. Yeah, the vibes weren't high, Haley, coming into this Gold Cup. But since then, we've responded in fine fashion. We won our group. We won all 3 games. We had a little bit of trouble getting past Costa Rica. We had to go to penalties to make that happen in the quarterfinals. We had really good, bright moments, I think, in both against Costa Rica in the quarterfinals and Guatemala in the semifinals. There's a little bit of that game management. When we have a lead, can we hold on to the lead? Can we continue to make our presence felt and be in charge of the game, even if the other team has gotten a little bit of momentum? And I think that's an area of improvement for this particular group of players, especially as they're trying to earn the trust of Mauricio Pochettino and their teammates who are going to be on that World Cup roster next year to say, hey, listen, I'm a guy you can trust and make plays in difficult moments. And so Mexico's going to be a great test for us. It's going to be probably similar to the level of play that we saw against Turkey and Switzerland. Okay, so this is going to be a chance for redemption in some ways for these players to say, hey, listen, we've been together for a month. Now we're going to show you what we're all about. And I've seen some nice resilience here from this group, so long may that continue here in the final.
I am begging Ajman to find the back of the net on Sunday. He has been so close as this tournament has gone on. It feels like he's just knocking on the door. And you got to think, with the World Cup kicking off less than a year away, we get our first games on June 11th of 2026. And we kind of touched on it a little bit there, but why should fans, win or lose on Sunday, why should fans be embracing this Team USA team based on what you've seen this summer?
Yeah, I think right now, if you're watching this particular game against Mexico, Mexico's going to have their full squad. And I've been really impressed with Javier Aguirre. He's his third time in charge as Mexican national team manager. And he's done a nice job with this group of players of giving them an identity on both sides of the ball. So they're the favorites going into this. I don't want to blow smoke for anybody. But from the U.S. perspective, we have a lot of questions that need some answers, and some of them have been answered. We're looking for a number 9. You talk about Patrick Agyemang up top. Flo Balogun and Ricardo Pepi, who usually would be starting for us, or Josh Sargent, not in this camp. Big opportunity for him and others to make their mark. We're also looking for a partner in midfield for Tyler Adams, and so we have an audition going on in the middle of midfield. You have Sebastian Berhalter, who's been good. Lee Tillman, Diego Luna have been excellent. Johnny Cardoso, Tanner Ted. These are all players that are going to be part of the conversation, but for me, it's still wide open. Center back, still trying to figure who that is, and our goalkeeper, Matt Freese. He got his opportunity to be the guy over Matt Turner, and now we have a healthy competition to see who's going to be number 1. These are all really good things a year out. What's important about this particular game, though, against Mexico is that this is the last official game that we're going to have before the World Cup. Because we're one of the hosts alongside Mexico, the only games we're going to have from here till then are friendlies. All the other countries around the world are still in World Cup qualifying. World Cup qualifying, you're cutting your teeth in high-pressure situations. We're going to miss out on this part of it. So this is a really important game for us to really get after it. And, of course, we always want to beat our rivals, Haley. We can't let Mexico beat us.
We can't let that happen. Come on. We've seen this play out too many times. We do have to talk about Mexico, though, because they have just been in very impressive form to this point. And you mentioned their manager, Javier Aguirre, his third stint at the helm. It's interesting this time around because he's kind of in more of a mentorship role. They're basically grooming the former Mexican defensive star Rafa Marquez to step up and take over before the 2030 World Cup. But all of that aside, what he has managed in that mentorship role, what he's done with this team, how important has Aguirre been to the success of El Tri in this tournament?
Oh, it's been immense. I mean, he's 9-2-2 since taking over, and they've had a couple performances pretty early on where you could tell they were still trying to get comfortable again. Javier Aguirre, obviously a ton of experience, going to come in with a ton of respect from the players and the player pool. And then you bring in someone like Rafa Marquez, as you mentioned, who had a tremendous career as a player and is just getting his managerial career started, and he's going to demand instant respect from the players as well. So now that you can see they've bought in. They won the Nations League, and I actually was really impressed with how they performed in the Nations League, because at that point you didn't know which version of Mexico was going to show up, and I thought they were the best team and they deserved to win that tournament. And I think he's done a lot of squeezing a lot of potential out of these particular players, including their main man up top, Raul Jimenez, who plays for Fulham in the Premier League. If we go back to the Nations League in March, he scored 2 goals in the semifinal against Canada. He scored a goal against Panama in the final. Now he just had a goal against Honduras in the semifinal, and he's just getting the most out of him. And I think that's really important because Mexico creates a ton of chances. Sometimes they squander those chances. And so they're going to, I don't know, this is going to be a great game because we're talking about the attacking side of the ball, but defensively in their last 4 games here in this Gold Cup, they haven't given up any goals. They gave up 2 goals in the first game of the tournament to Dominican Republic. They won that game 3-2, so they did what they needed to do. But they've been excellent on the defensive side of the ball, and that's going to be a tough test for the Americans to try to break them down. But if we can score early and make them a little nervous, then anything can happen. But that first goal is going to be of the utmost importance for both teams.
All right, so let's hope that they just forget their game plan to this point and Team USA can find a way past
Exactly.
It's
easy, Haley. No problem.
All right, Jimmy, we got to get to some picks here. We're going to go rapid fire. I've got 3 topics for you. We're going to go anytime goal scorer, a winner, and your best bet. What are they?
Okay, so anytime goal scorer, I'm going to take a flyer here. This value is kind of crazy, plus 2,200, so obviously 22-1. It's a bit of a long shot. But Chris Richards, excellent on set pieces. He scored the winner on a set piece against Saudi Arabia in the group stages. We get good service from Sebastian Berhalter and others, and I think we've been a threat on that. So I like him to score anytime. The last time we beat Mexico in a Gold Cup final was in 2021, and Miles Robinson scored on a set piece to help us win that one 1-0. So we got a history of scoring set pieces, including myself. I scored a header against Mexico a long time ago.
I was wondering if you were going to put that in there, actually.
Yeah, I put it in there. I'm shameless over here. Absolutely no problem with that.
Conrad.
And then my best bet and the result overall is the U.S. to win or draw, so a double chance after 90 minutes, and over 1.5 total goals plus 125. I like that value a lot. I could see a 1-1 and then this going into extra time, potentially into penalties. And then once you get the penalties, it's a bit of a coin flip. But I do think this is going to be a bit of a dogfight as both teams try to feel each other out. And I don't know how much risk is going to be taken, but ultimately it comes down to who scores and when they score that first goal, because that'll obviously dictate the flow of the rest of the game. But I like a 1-1. and then we'll see what happens, and that would hit that bet for sure.
All right, let's hope Team USA can get a win. Let's hope all of Jimmy's bets hit, and let's do it again in just a few minutes. Jimmy, hang out for a second. We're going to chat with you more in just a moment. Before we do, you can catch him hosting his podcast, Call It What You Want, on CBS Sports platforms with a couple of other former U.S. men's national team players. They get you ready for Sunday's Gold Cup finale as Mexico and USA square off 6 o'clock Eastern in Houston.